Hey, what's up? Welcome to Degen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts like the chart behind me, which is of Walgreens Boots Alliance, ticker symbol WBA, which closed today at a price of $9.47, being up a little over 1% on the day and continuing up 1 penny in the after hours. And so, yeah, I was just looking over at some of the charts from my recent history, and I saw this, wanted to revisit it and go over, where I think this could be pulling back to, and also get into a little bit of the options data so we can see if there's anything bullish going on or if it's still in the process of retracing, forming a bottom. And so what we can see here on the daily chart is that the 52-week low was $7.98, which was hit here on September 25th of 2024. And from there, we went up about, I believe, 66% to the high of 1325 hit on January 17th before retracing about 30% down from there. And we can see the moving averages up here, and we are currently trading below all of them. So yeah, I just wanted to go over some levels. I have drawn some up and I will add a few, but I just wanted to start here with the basics. And so now I'm just going to throw up some of the drawings that I have here. One is this downtrend, which I'll go over in a second. I do think we could be retracing to that, but I also wanted to go over these blue lines. If you're not familiar, I tend to make gaps that need to be filled blue dashed lines. So we've got two of them here, one based on the closing price from September 25th, which was at 801. So I got that blue dash line there. We nearly filled it over here. Possible we filled it during after hours or pre-market, but I tend to just look at the daily. And the low over here on November 21st was 808. So nearly filling that gap. And one thing that I've kind of started to recognize about gaps is that they don't always get filled. And I imagine that there were some people waiting right around here with a limit buy order at 801 or $8, not only that being a whole dollar number, but also an even dollar number. $2 bills, people like to work with those. And so, that gap was not filled. And so anybody waiting for it to get filled was left behind on, 66% move to the upside. But we do have some other gaps up here. There's another gap still to the downside here that has not yet been filled, and that is at a price of $9.22, which was the closing price on January 8th. It looks like just before earnings, when Walgreens Boots Alliance gapped up on earnings. And I believe they actually announced then that they were going to stop doing the dividend. Not sure about that, but I'm pretty sure that that's no longer being offered. So don't consider this for that dividend. But anyways, gapped up, and we have yet to fill that gap, but we are right around there, having hit a low today of $9.34. And I believe yesterday on Tuesday the 11th, it was slightly lower at $9.32. So just a couple pennies lower, but not quite 10 cents away from filling that gap at 922. And then you also might notice that I do have this solid blue line here that was a gap that was formed also, following earnings. There was a gap up, but that has, of course, since been filled. That's why the line is solid there, and that is at $8.73. So I'm thinking that, WBA could be pulling down to right around $9 a share, filling this gap here, getting close to this downtrend and getting close to this prior gap that has been filled. And we can also see that there's a lot of consolidation over here that, does suggest that there will be some support just below where we're currently trading. So I find that to be pretty intriguing. And then so one thing that I wanted to draw up here is just a Fibonacci retracement going from the low over here at 798 and then going up to this high at 1325. So just going to make sure those numbers are correct there, and I'm just going to lock that in place, make it a little bit thicker, and I'm going to make it light blue because I like that color. I like that shade. Very soothing. We can see that the 786 from that retracement is at a price of $9.11, so corresponding pretty nicely with just being a little bit lower than current price and being below this gap, so that gap would then get filled, but being above this gap that has previously been filled at 873. So I find that to be pretty intriguing, but I could also see WBA breaking below $9.11 to test this white downtrend. And so that downtrend is just based on the two pivot highs from over here. It looks like the high from June 27th of 2024, as well as the high from July 30th. So those two pivot points, that's how I draw that line. You can draw it on your own chart if you like. And what we can see from it is that was resistance over here, considering that I drew it based on those points. But then when we did get a move up to that level, we got kind of a fake out break above it, just getting one close above that downtrend. But then the day after it did close below it, and we couldn't really hold it. Until, we were able to break above it here on December 10th, going up by more than 17%, almost 18% on the day, closing above it, and then retracing to retest that downtrend as support before going higher. And then it kind of faded a little bit below it, kind of faking people out before making this big move, this gap up to 1325 following earnings. And so, yeah, that downtrend is below us, and I would be pretty intrigued if the stock price did come down to around $9 a share, maybe 873, to test that level, find it as support, and then maybe consolidate a little bit before making the next move higher. And also, something that might be good to keep an eye on is, we can draw an uptrend that might be suggesting that there is some support over here. And so I am just drawing this kind of approximate. Just going to make that line a little bit thicker, and I might make it actually yellow so it stands out a little bit, differentiate it from the other lines. And so, that's just an approximate level based on the low over here, 798, and then intersecting with the close over here from November 15th, not getting any closes below that line, while we do see some wicks below it over here, no closes below it. And so that does suggest that we have been putting in higher lows. And so, really, if we do come down to 873, if we come down to, let's see, the low from December 5th was at a price of 835, as long as we hold above 835, I would feel pretty good about, putting in those higher lows. And, we do have the low over here before this move up, before this earnings. And so that was the low from January 2nd at a price of 907. And so that's another level that I think would be good for us to hold above, not get any closes below 907, suggesting that, higher lows are being put in. But if we do break below that, if we do come down to 835, I think that'd be kind of a red flag if we do start to close below there. But, as you can see, there are just a number of lines over here ranging between current price and to right around, I'd say 873, maybe 869. Have fun with the numbers. That would be corresponding approximately, with this yellow uptrend that I have drawn there fairly casually. So yeah, I could see there being some dips to around that level. And another thing that we can do, just kind of having some fun with the chart, I can do a Fibonacci extension going from the low of 798 13.98 up to the high of 13.25. And then let's say we do come down to right around, let's say we don't even go that far down, or actually, yeah, let's just say we do get to that intersection. The 100% retracement or extension from this Fibonacci extension will be putting price at around $14 here. It looks like at $13.91. But let's say we've put in the bottom, just hypothetically, and, we're not going any lower. Where would that put that 100% retracement? That will put it right around $15 a share. Here we've got it at $14.59. That also corresponds very nicely with this gap to the downside following earnings from June of 2024. Got this massive gap down, coming down over 22% on the day of earnings, June 27th, leaving this gap up here at $14.84, or, right around $15 a share. And so, I find that to be a pretty intriguing level. Although I have not yet seen any data in the options data that suggests that the bottom is in, potentially though that it's starting to form. And so I just wanted to go over some of that data with you guys. And so this is just the premium chart, also with the volume. And so we can see that just for the day, February 12th, we can see the stock price in yellow going sideways here. And over the course of the day, we see in green the net call premium going up, being positive, so that is good. And but the thing that's not so good is that we see the net put premium in red here also going up and ending the day notably higher than the net call premium. And so if we just look at the numbers over here, net call premium was up by almost $44,000, suggesting that $44,000 is going long on WBA. But what we see is net put premium is up by nearly $142,000, suggesting that there's about $100,000 more dollars going short buying puts versus buying calls. And so that doesn't look so great. And what we see in the volume down here is that it is green net buying of contracts, whether calls or puts. And if we do look at the data from up here, we do see calls positive as well as puts positive, but puts being more positive than calls. The majority of this volume is buying puts. So it doesn't look so great. And then if we do scroll down here, we can see this bearish bullish slider, 46% bearish, with this part being neutral. Maybe some of that's bullish, but just from looking at the data up here, this definitely doesn't look like the bottom is in just yet. But if we do want to look back in time, just going over the past 30 trading days, we can see all of the data here. We can see the stock price went up, hitting a high around January 15th. And if we do flip back to the chart, we can see that here. January 17th actually is when it topped out. And right around there, that is where we saw a lot of net call premium being positive here, as well as net put premium being negative. And so on January 10th, it looks like we see it close the day with net call premium being up $2.16 million, whereas net put premium was down by $1.38 million, suggesting that a lot of puts are being sold, whereas a lot of calls are being bought. And following that, we did see price go up, so that was a pretty good sign there. But we haven't really seen the millions of dollars traded to the upside, net call premium being positive. Since then, we have seen this one day over here where net call premium did go up by $1.02 million. That was on February 4th, and that has really been, the biggest spike in net call premium. We do, however, see some drawdowns in net put premium, with the largest being over here, I believe, down 1.38 million, like I had just mentioned. But over here on February 3rd, we see that net put premium came down by 1.49 million, so a little bit more than over here. And so while that's not necessarily bullish, but it does suggest that, a bottom could be forming, with bears selling their puts, taking profits, and then, following that, of course, we do see here the move up in the net call premium going positive. But we did see, following that high in mid-January, the stock price just fade lower. And so, I personally am going to wait to start to see more puts being sold in the millions of dollars and more calls being being bought in the millions of dollars. And so here on February 4th, we see a net call premium. I think I had just mentioned this, going up by 1.02 million. Once we start to see net call premium going up into the millions, then I would start to get more interested. But switching back over to the daily, we only saw net call premium go up by less than 50,000, whereas net put premium went up, not down, by 141, nearly $42,000. So that is still net bearish. So that makes me think that we still have some more room to the downside. And so I am looking for this to come down to around $9 a share, and I might actually add an alert for myself, just kind of out of curiosity. I already had one up there, believe it or not, at $9 a share. It just wasn't showing up there. But yeah, we see that now. So when this does come down to $9 a share, I'll start to look at that options data, see if we might be starting to form a bottom. And if we are respecting these higher lows, I might be looking into either getting some call contracts or maybe grabbing some shares. But anyways, as always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thanks a lot and take care, you guys. Cheers.